Samantha, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into all things wedding, content, all the things.
Love that.
I feel like content creation is one of, I would say, the top 3 trending new things in the wedding industry that brides, vendors, people are excited about. Just people who like weddings are excited about watching this kind of content.
I know. It kind of blew up. I say overnight, but it felt like that, but it really has been a long time coming. And I think it's because of just so many reasons, but it's been such a whirlwind and such a fun kind of atmosphere and vibe to see all these new things coming to light and us getting busy and all these different brides and vendors. Like, we cannot be happier or more excited.
Yeah, I definitely TikTok had a big part of it. The algorithm of people wanting to consume snappy, entertaining content. But it's created a whole new category, I feel like, of content creation.
I feel like that too. I feel like there's been a shift, though, and if I'm going to be honest, it started because of that. Like, because of getting your photos maybe 2 weeks from your wedding day. What are you doing in between those times? Mm-hmm. And looking for people and your friends and family who are taking content and stuff like that. Like, that's all fine and good, but do you want your friends to have a job? Like, there's so many different reasons why it progressed. And I think even now has evolved into a kind of a completely different thing than just being there for social media purposes, which is really fun to think about.
Then how would you describe kind of what you're doing now? Like, how is it different?
So I would say you hit the nail on the head. It started because of kind of the TikTok trends and the instant gratification aspects of everything. Like, you want something now, you want something to share and everything. I think that was a really big part of it initially when it started. Now I've seen more and more people where they don't care about Instagram. They don't care about posting. They don't care about sharing. Like, they really care about it because at its core now, content creation is about social media, surprisingly. And against my name from So Bridal Social, I feel like that kind of goes without saying. But it has its great reasons for social. But more than that, we focus on candid content now, where I feel like we're capturing things that fall in the cracks throughout the day that are sentimental, these little moments that are so meaningful and impactful to brides that a lot of the time, I would say, like, go missing or just don't get captured because there's bigger things to worry about. So we're there to capture those things, which I feel like are so much more valuable than, or people find more value in now than us just doing something and saying, hey, we want to make this day a TikTok huge day and doing a bunch of reels. Like, that's not the case anymore, surprisingly.
Wow. So there has been a transformation, because I did think for a minute that, it wasn't sustainable to have bridesmaids on wedding days trying to recreate these, like, basically trendy pieces of content, right?
Exactly.
And at some point, like, there was a level of fatigue. I think the algorithms felt, right?
Yep. Oversaturated,
right?
Yeah.
It became a thing. But despite that, it is something that couples are wanting and they're loving, having a content creator at their wedding day. They're carving out budget for it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, because we had on another podcast, we had a wedding videographer company, and they do 200 weddings a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And I asked them, like, how do they feel about this whole content creation? And they said it's separate, completely different.
100%.
So I'm curious for you as a content creator,
yeah,
how do you see where you fit in with the photographer, the videographer, and you and your team on the wedding day?
I love that question, because I feel like we are so different. And I'm so glad the videographer said that, because I feel like it definitely was a hot button issue where it's like you had your photographers and videographers immediately saying, who wants the wedding day to be a photo shoot? We already have enough going on. We don't need someone stopping and doing TikTok dances and stuff like that, which I agree. If the couple wants it, who am I to say anything? And who are we to judge? It's their day. They could spend it how they want, and they should spend it how they want. But for me, I feel like now with content creation, like I said, it's become more of us getting what the photo video can't. And not saying that they're getting the wrong things, because they're getting exactly what they need to. But I had a conversation with a photo video team. They're a husband-wife duo, the nicest people. And they originally were like, we're really nervous about content creators. And I'm like, I can promise you, like, I won't be in your way. I'm not really even trying to shoot a lot of the things that you're trying to shoot. Like, yes, big moments, I'll be there and I'll work around you guys. But for the most part, you know, while you're doing family photos and taking photos, I'm getting the, like, you know, the guests entering and greeting each other, the things that the bride can't see, or like the couple can't see, and that they really want to see. Like, who wouldn't want to see the guest's reaction to the venue space, being like, wow, this place is gorgeous? Because that's things that they're never going to be able to see, that the photo video can't focus on, because they're focused on the bigger picture stuff. And that a lot of people find a lot of like joy in, to see just a more well-rounded capturing of their day, even from smaller parts.
That's such a good point, because the videographer really is focused on the couple and following and documenting their experience throughout the day. And yes, there are environmental shots and all of that, but you're kind of capturing those other in-between moments.
Exactly. Like my favorite moments are like, even when the videographer is setting up for a shot, let's say like during ceremony, and then the little bridesmaid or little flower girl, they're running around and like having fun with the bouquets and stuff. I'm like, those things might not be important at that moment, but are just so cute that, like, even if I wouldn't use it in an edited video because it doesn't fit, we send them also everything. So they have every single piece of their day documented as almost like a guest perspective, like a different set of eyes throughout the day, kind of capturing things and sending them everything. So they're able to really watch those little moments over that might not, again, either make it in a final cut for a videographer, or even for like a videography purpose, might not be as important as something else they have to capture during the day.
Okay, so you've made the case for the content creator at the wedding day. I'm on board with this.
Love it.
I am so interested in the cost, the budget, right? I know it's something that everyone's so budget conscious as it is. Like, and I know that you're obviously in a different market. You're in New York. You also do a lot of traveling.
Yes.
But like, if someone is interested in hiring content creator, like, what do you think, either as a percentage of their budget, or what should they allocate for their wedding day? You can give a range.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that it is a range, because I'm so happy now that content creation has become a little bit more widespread, where it's like photo video now, where there's different options, there's different aesthetics, there's different people doing different things. So like, you're going to get that range of, okay, if you want content creation, but you might not have the budget for it, there are people that are out there that are going to do it for like, either I've seen people do trade for travel for a destination if they really want to get into that market. So that's essentially like not free, because you have to pay for travel, lodging and stuff like that. But, you know, it could be an option for someone who wants to stay a little bit low budget. For $300, I've seen people come and do content creation for the day. And then I've seen people go as high as maybe like $4,000, $3,500, $5,000. Like, there's a range. I'm kind of mid-range within that. Like, me and my team kind of are within like that $1,500 to like 3,000-ish range, which is definitely mid-tier. So I say, if like you really do want a higher end professional in terms of content creation, that's probably the budgeting that you'll spend, maybe give or take around $2,000, $2,500. And that's what I see in bigger cities like New York, California, stuff like that, are about $2,000, $2,500.
And what is someone getting for that? Is it you plus someone else? How many clips edited? Like, just walk me through what. And I know everyone has their own pricing, their own packages, but like, just like, if you're hiring content creator, what do you think is a baseline of a package?
Yeah. So I would say usually content creation is based off hours. So like, I always say it's going to be based off the amount of hours just off the bat. We usually do one content creator per wedding. I think that's standard with everyone. If I'm going to be honest, there's not many people that are offering two.
That's also just a lot of people, right? Now you have photo, video.
Now it's a crowd. Like, you have too many cooks in the kitchen.
You don't need like 7 people filming your wedding.
It's a small village that would be following you around. It has happened before, where like a event planner will bring their own content creator, and then like the other, like the florist has their own, and I'm like, looking around, I'm like, there's 30 people here. Like, oh my God. So I think it's a lot. So I think we always can get what we need with one person. If we're add-on for photo and video, one person is definitely enough. But I would say you are getting a few edited clips. Everyone does it slightly differently, which is fun. Some people do very specific TikTok trends where they're like, okay, we're going to do exactly, like shoot this exactly choreographed stuff. For me and a good amount of other content creators, we're very much more a little behind the scenes, kind of fly on the wall, asked to capture the day. So we do what I always call like aesthetic recap videos. So I say they're about 30 seconds, at least mine are. Mm-hmm. We're very flexible with what clients want. If they want something less, if they want something more, we can adjust. The hardest part about content creation is we want to make it as personal as possible. It's not meant to be cookie cutter. It's not meant to be something that everyone's getting the same thing. You're not
using the same template with the same song.
Yeah. What's the point? Like we're capturing these candid moments and these authentic moments. Like we're going to want to use what we capture and those and not just make it everyone's getting the same ceremony video and that's it. So we're very flexible with that. But our stereotypical amount is like 30-second clips, maybe like, again, with like a really small package. If we're not there for long, we'll try to see what we can make, maybe 2, 3, and then, upwards of 6 or 7. But again, like we can really take that 30 seconds and make them 2 15-second clips or make it a minute recap. If it's just really depending on the couple and what they want out of the day, which is fun too, because it should be that way. Like, what do you want? And what would make you the happiest when you wake up, the morning after or 2 mornings later to the edited content, and like what would you really want to see? So that's what we try to ask.
I want to double click on something that you said, which was you'll show up on a wedding day, you'll be shooting on behalf of the couple, and then you'll have a wedding vendor, maybe a planner, a florist. They have their own content teams now, right? Yeah. Like how do you navigate that? Like how are you negotiating? Like is there like a battle? Like who's the official content creator on the day
Sometimes. I hate to say it like that. Sometimes there is. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes we do some content for friends and vendors where we're the extra. I think there's a little bit of a hierarchy on a wedding day. And if you know weddings, you kind of already know, like it's a photographer first, then videographer second, almost always. Like content creation's usually bottom of the barrel. And that's for the couple. Like I always say, we're the bottom of the barrel.
And you're the couples. And then if the vendors.
Then they're not even in the barrel. Like you have to, like when I'm there for another vendor, I am so cognizant, like the couple, this is for the vendor.
I'm so glad you're saying this because like I feel like it's really, really important because I think when content creators became a thing, that was probably one of the biggest concerns that photographers and videographers had. Like, you're going to be in my way. But I love that you're recognizing the prioritization of the order.
That's so important.
I don't want to say pecking order, but
it's exactly what it is. Like, I feel genuinely, if you're a content creator and if you're a good content creator, you know that you are the least, like, and I hate to say it like this, but in a way, the least important media professional there. I always say, look, I'm there to get shots for the couple. I'm not there to get in the way of professional photo video. That is never something that I would do, never something that's in my job description. I will let them get a shot. I don't need to get the shot. Everything I get is extra. So I'll try to work around them and get different angles if I really can't work like next to them, like usually during ceremony when the
and do you get the tight. BTS of them shooting the couple too? So the couple has a couple of those moments?
Yeah. If the couple asks for it and they love that really behind the scenes look, I'll absolutely get them. I've got some really cool shots where like they've been framed so perfectly with the video camera and the photo. And like, I'm just like, wow, like this looks like a paparazzi moment. Like they're going to love this for just like them posting it solo. So yeah, we do get some of those too, which I think is really fun. Or even if it's a tight space, like in a ceremony, we're getting like mom's reaction, her crying in the front row for like her daughter walking down or something like that. Like we'll always try an alternative route. We are never, ever trying to get in the way or avidly like trying, literally being like, where are the cameras? How can I make sure that I'm like so far away from them as humanly possible while getting my shot? So I'm not like remotely close to getting in the shot, you know?
How do you feel about wedding guests with their phone out trying to get their own content?
I don't mind it at all throughout the day. The only parts where I mind it have to be during the first dance and parent dances and during ceremony. I've had so many, it's so bad that these have been the worst parts. When I have this couple and they're so excited about getting the walk down the aisle. Like I remember so specifically, I had this bride be like, this is the moment for me. Like, I need this. This has to be its own solo video. Like, I want this moment. Can you please capture it? I'm like, I'm on it. Made a great game plan with the photo video team. I'm making sure I'm standing in a way I'm not just like distracting or in any shots. Perfect. All of a sudden, her great aunt from the second row gets into the like literally into the aisle where she's blocking not only me, but the photographer and the videographer to get a shot on her iPhone. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, like, what do we do? So I had to like tell them to move and she's not moving because she's like, I'm her aunt. Like, I can't. And I was like, there's not much you could do at that point. So I'm like, at a certain point, for me, because everything I do is extra, like it sucks, but it doesn't really, for me, I could do without 1 or 2 shots. It's just for the client who really wants it and the couple that spends so much money on their wedding, like that's who I feel terrible for. Like, or even when I'm doing a first dance and I want to see the reaction of the mom or dad like crying and being.
But everyone's standing with their phone in their hand.
This, trying to capture the first dance. I'm like, I will airdrop it to you after. I promise. Like, as soon as this is over, it will get airdropped to you. I was like, I want to like be in the moment, be present. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what is unfortunate. Like, and maybe that's what we can give back to people. And honestly, I even bring that up in my final calls. Like, tell your parents, tell your bridal party if they're going to be on the dance floor watching you do the first dance. I got it. I'll capture all of it. They don't have to. Just enjoy watching your children, watching your best friend, watching your cousins get married and have this moment, like be present with them. And so I feel like hopefully we give that back to people that they feel like they can rewatch it and not have to worry about who's getting this for the couple and are we getting it for them, you know?
It makes a lot of sense. I do think there should be just a global rule that ceremonies are not allowed to have phones. And because it's gotten pretty bad where it's not just like one person. It's like people will have their phones out and it's just and like I totally agree with you. It just feels like they're not present. They're not they're not part of the experience. They're too focused on capturing it rather than actually like being in the moment.
Yeah. And it's sad because I even have unplugged ceremonies that have the posters that say this is unplugged and people still do it all, like multiple people. They don't care. And I'm like,
they got to do the thing where they put the phones in the
bag. Did you see that?
Yeah, yes. Like, shut it down. Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
Gotta be the move.
I'm gonna get that for my wedding. I'm like, just slip that in there, or like leave it with like checked somewhere. Like, please, for 15 minutes, just put away your phone. That's all I ask. Like, and I feel like that you should want to be like, you're watching this, and you have the professionals documenting it. Don't worry. It's going to get captured. It doesn't have to be on your iPhone, but it will be captured by other people. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. So
what's in your day of kit when you're showing up to a wedding?
Oh, there's a bunch. I will say, obviously my phone's first and foremost. I have backup phones. Like I don't play. I'm very type A. So
is your phone that you're shooting on your primary phone or
no, it's a content phone. I started when I first was doing content. I was like, I'll do my regular phone, but I even have my phone as like a second backup. Like when you start doing so many weddings, like I have a terabyte plus like a terabyte on iCloud or 2 terabytes and I'm still getting like at the top of my storage. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I needed a lot more storage and a lot more like reliability. And I also increase the phones when I feel like the camera quality gets better with the new one that comes out. So I have a ton of phones. Always the vendors make fun of me. They're like, how many phones are you pulling out of it? It's like a clown car with you just keep pulling out phones from your bag. I have a few external lights, a ton of portable chargers and batteries. I go with them everywhere. I have a million portable chargers.
Do you mic up your bride or groom?
I don't personally. I feel like that's such a videography job. Like we've been asked, and if like, let's say hypothetically there isn't a videographer, which is not super common, but if it's the case and the bride or like the couple really, really wants it, then yeah, maybe we'll do something like that. We don't do it often or we don't recommend it at all. Like that's not what content creation is for us. You know, like we're never here to step on or be something that we're not when it's videography. Like the iPhone has its limitations that a DSLR camera doesn't, and we're okay with that fact. Like, you know, and that's what people sign up for.
What percentage of your weddings have you shot that don't have a videographer?
I will say when I started, barely any. Like we always were an add-on to photo video, always. But now it's sad because I even have videographer friends who I love and I talk to all the time. And there's some people that either are like, I literally physically cannot afford one. Like my budget does not allow for a videographer whatsoever. Like, and I would probably, they sometimes go with my smallest package just because they want to have something.
Got it. So it's not a replacement. It's rather just saying I can't afford video, but I want someone to capture something.
100%. Or if they do come with me and they're like, I'm between content and video, I'm like, go with video. Every time, every single photographer and videographer.
Well, you don't want that pressure of them expecting for you to deliver a wedding video.
Exactly.
No, thank you.
100%. I will give all the disclaimers in the call. Like I go over it. I'm like, okay, ready for brutal honesty? Let's do it. Like
give us the disclaimers.
Oh, I'm always like, I really go all out. I'm like, sit down. One, with the ceremony, we're not taking a full video. No matter what, I can't trust an iPhone. And if anyone can, let me know how. But like, I physically can't trust that an iPhone's going to capture a 20-minute video of ceremony start to finish in the summer heat. I know there's things to cool it down, but like, you can't guarantee an iPhone just won't stop shooting at some point. Like, I'm not guaranteeing that. Two, like even with the external mics and stuff like that, like I'm also not jeopardizing that overheating a phone or overriding. Like an iPhone isn't built for, I at least think, long form video content like that. Mm-hmm. Even low lighting, I always say that's a big problem where videographers, obviously they still have external lights, but they could get around it a little bit more with
in post because they have such high quality. They're filming in 4K.
100%. We can't do that. We get the phone auto adjusts immediately and it gets pixelated. It gets like, it tries to overcompensate and it just looks blurry and like terrible. So like, yes, we bring external lights, but like it's not the same. Mm-hmm. And even there's some moments that I look at where I know what I would be shooting if I was shooting with a DSLR camera versus what I'm shooting with the iPhone. And I love what I'm shooting with the iPhone, but the DSLR sometimes just like you can never compare an iPhone video like camera to a DSLR camera. It just is such a different experience. So I always say, even with speeches too, I'm not miking anyone up. We're not doing multiple camera angles. Like that's just, it goes without saying. A videographer is essential. And I will say that to every bride. I always recommend it. At my wedding, I'm having a videographer. I know that, plus a content creator. I will always have 3. It's just, it's like when people know they can't afford a videographer, I get it. Why we're the only ones there, because I'd rather have us than them have no video. But if it's between us and a video, I will always say video, 100%.
Are you delivering the entire raw files to the client?
Yes. Every single raw piece of content gets delivered, which is also why it's a little bit more fun and a little bit more personal sometimes, because we're kind of shooting them every single thing we're taking, regardless of whether it's good or not. Because I will say there's probably some duds in like the 800 different pieces of content we send over. But we send them every single thing that we take.
And you said 800. Is that a joke or is that like a real number?
Oh, no. Sometimes that's real. Like I've had weddings where I've sent them over like 1,200 individual pieces of content. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like your wedding was just so good. I like could not stop shooting. But we don't stop shooting ever. Like I always am shooting something, whether it's when they're walking and a bride's picking up their dress, or a groom is fixing a tuxedo, or like, the couples just be together. Like there's so many different kind of moments that I love, that even if it's not a set posy thing, like I'm always shooting. So they're getting so much content from me. It's like, it's a lot at the end of the day.
How many weddings have you done at this point since you started?
Me personally or
your team?
Okay, yeah. So Bridal, we've done in the past 2 years, I think about like 275 weddings.
Whoa.
But we are hitting 2 years right now. It's been a blessing. It started really slow and then really took off.
So how many weddings are you doing a weekend?
Depends on the weekend. Like January, February for us in New York, it's not really that crazy. It's our dead season, slow season up here. But May, June, September, October, I've done 4-day wedding weekends myself, where I'm like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm on. Bridal Fashion Week was the best, but also a nightmare for me, because during like that point in October, I did like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, worked Bridal Fashion Week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday again. I was like comatose by the end of that week. I was like, no one talked to me. But I love what I do. So I'm like, it was so worth it. And I had the best.
How did you even have time to like dump the footage and clear your phone?
Thank God I dumped it beforehand. So I was able to have those, like it was okay within that terabyte of storage that I had. But the editing was a little rough for me, where I'm like, okay, gotta go back, upload, edit, next. And like, that's where it kind of gets me with the editing. But other than that, I think I pulled through. It was solid.
What tools are you using for editing the content?
I usually do CapCut.
Yeah. Desktop or phone?
Phone a lot of the time.
I cannot do the phone CapCut.
Really?
Desktop, I'm like a whiz. Phone, I like just don't have the patience. I don't know why.
One.
Desktop is legit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try it because I will say I'm really quick with the phone, but honestly, maybe it's just because I'm shooting on it all the time, and like I'm just like, okay, I could. And the
annoying thing is uploading content. So if you can, but it allows you to upload the content on your phone, and then it uploads to your account online.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
Pro tip: I'm telling you, CapCut Desktop, don't sleep on it. It's legit.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that you sold me. It's done. CapCut should sponsor. But I definitely think CapCut's the way to go because honestly, for content creation, again, something other than
Adobe
video.
Express is good too. Have you used that? Have you tried it?
You see, I used it, but I don't know. CapCut just like I'm like, why mess with a good thing? If it's being broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing with videography too. Like we're doing quick things that are meant to be fun, quick edits that aren't taking like 2 months to perfect and be like absolutely like beyond like literally aesthetically perfect in every single sense. Like I like having it be a little bit more candid and a little bit more fun and real and not super posy and perfect and this and that. Like that's not what they're looking for. So that's why CapCut for me is like pretty solid because we're not doing crazy amounts of like post-production, color correction, editing. Like we're trying to keep it like a friend sent them something really fun to post, or share.
What have you captured at a wedding? Whether like you saw it happening at the time or when you were going through footage, you were like, have you gotten anything crazy?
I've definitely gotten a few things crazy. I don't think one thing came to mind, but I cannot say it on this podcast.
What do you mean? How bad is it?
It was bad.
Is it like someone like a drunkenly making out type of situation?
It was definitely drunk doing something, but it was It was a wardrobe malfunction. I could say that. So I was like immediately, I was like, I'm deleting all this footage. Like,
okay,
I got my girls. Like, nothing goes out that isn't perfect, especially because for me too, like a big part of my job is like making sure that I'm looking at things while I'm taking it and making sure things like that don't happen. So as soon as I'm like, I see something, I'm like, okay, we're going in the back and we're like fixing you up a little bit and we're making something work or like something like that. I'm always fixing hair. I'm always fixing dresses. I've sewn bustles before because I'm like, this looks terrible. Like, let's sew this up. I've done me and my team, you can ask us, we've done everything under the sun. I've been under dresses, like helping brides with like their Spanx. I've been like pulling them up. It's just everything we have done. So I want to make sure that it doesn't get to the point where I look at it after. I'm like, what is that? It's like, I'll fix it during the day. I see it.
I love that. I think it's important, right? Because like when you're capturing a wedding or an event, nothing drives me more crazy than when there's like a bra strap out or like an underwear line and like nobody tells the person. And look,
100%.
The photographers and videographers and planners, I feel like that's what they're looking out for. They're looking for all those moments that are like a post-production editing situation to fix them in real time. And I very much appreciate that. I saw something actually that was something on TikTok that was really funny that I think it was a photographer complaining about, like, they were like, what do you capture? What do you hate? Or like, what is something that's your pet peeve?
Yeah.
And someone mentioned bridesmaids that refuse to take off their Apple Watches.
Oh my gosh. I've seen that.
Right?
Do
you have anything like that like you see that like?
Oh yeah. I tell them before they even walk down. I'm like, hair ties, Apple Watches, any jewelry you don't want on, like look at this right now and take them off.
Hair ties is a big thing. I feel like
you don't realize it.
You don't realize, and it really messes up an outfit.
100%. And then I see it and you're wearing a gorgeous like silk dress and then all of a sudden you have a black hair tie.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
cute.
Yeah, I spot it. I'm like, and they're like, oh my God. But that's little things too. And I feel like sometimes even with us, we do a lot of weddings where we're the only females there. Like we're the only females on the media team, let's say. Like it's all photo second shooter, videography second shooter. They're all male, and we're the only females there. So we're sometimes the only ones that kind of sometimes spot this stuff.
Well, also because the guys don't want to be annoying too. Like sometimes they feel like
a little can I say this or something? Yeah. So I'm always the one that's like, this has got to go. I'm like, let's fix up your hair. Let's do this, whatever. Like I'll say that because I feel like also not in our job description, but kind of off of our job description, but still very much in our realm, is being like a hype girl, a bridesmaid. Like, I want to be there to help any couple be like, let's get you going. Like, you know, I want to make sure you look perfect, because also for us, we can't edit some of this stuff out. So like, I want to make sure your content's perfect, but I also want you to not look back and be like, why didn't anyone tell me this? Exactly like what you said.
That's like the most, that's the thing where I feel like I'm always looking like that. But even when we do our events, I'm like, oh, why didn't my team tell me that? Like, the little hanger strap from my dress was like coming out. I'm like, no one saw that. No one clipped it. Like, oh, like,
yep.
So I have that compassion. It's like the hair, the whole
one
thing.
hair gets off. I'm like, nope, let's fix this. Or like a dead flower on the bouquet. Like, throw that out. Like, why is it there? Like, I'm always, me and my team, we have it like in our roles, like we are going to tell people. I've had brides too, like, and a little off topic, but like some of the like they hire us because they like a specific vibe, but we've been so blessed that they trust us so much, especially with like an aesthetic or a vision, or like just with like just making sure they feel comfortable. And I get some looks sometimes from brides who like clearly don't want to do something that like they get asked to do or something. Like I had one bride in particular that got asked to hold her bouquet like this. Like the bouquet was like she was a waiter that was holding it out. And I've never seen that before. They were like, try to balance it. And she looked at me and she gave me like, you know, the girl held
like,
eyes. Where she was like, and I was like, how about like we hold it normally and like just, or even like put it like down and kind of aesthetic. And she was like, I love that. Yeah, let's do that. And I'm like, so like we're also there for some things where we're like, okay, like maybe we could put in our, and we never like to do that, but like we'll put in our 2 cents to make our couples feel comfortable. Like that's something that's super important to us. We've gotten that eye from grooms too, where they're like, help. And I'm like, okay, I got you. Like we'll do something a little different. Like I get it. But yeah, we get a few things like that, which we think is fun.
You mentioned your team. How big is your team? How many content creators do you have that are working on your events?
Yeah, I will say we're one of the bigger teams out there. But it's because I've been doing this for so long. Like I started
2 years, so long.
Well, no, actually, I surprisingly, wedding content creator for couples, yes, 2 years. But wedding content creator for vendors, way before that.
Oh.
So I started doing wedding or like event content creation in like 2018. So I was in college doing this. Like I was literally just shooting on my iPhone at live events for people, making videos for events for social stuff like that, like and weddings for social. I got in with like planners originally, and then I started working full time for like a catering company and did their social media, and then did content creation at the events for them. The reason why I got into wedding content creation for couples was because people were like, oh, that's really good. Can you send that to me? Or like, I wish you were here all day. Like these videos came out awesome. And I was like, oh,
maybe I should.
Exactly. There's something here. Like who's doing this? But that originally started, and I had a team from even back then that I was coordinating with, talking with, like that would go out with other vendors when I'm busy. So like I had that team kind of, God bless, they're the best team I could ever ask for. Like every single girl on my team is an absolute rock star, and they are nothing but amazing, and everything they put out is incredible. And I've been blessed because I know people, even some of my content creator friends, that have been struggling to find a team and like people that they could trust and rely on. And thank God I have about, I think I'm trying to think right now, because we're even starting like social media management stuff, which is super fun. So like we're going back to our kind of roots of social media because all vendors are asking us. So some of my team is transferring over now to just vendors and social media management, which is like so cool to see like a full circle moment. And helping the team grow with me is super important.
And is your whole team remote? They're all based in the tri-state area?
Yeah, they're all based actually on Long Island, surprisingly, just because we started local but now we're always in Jersey. We're always in Jersey. Like that or Newport. We're constantly either New Jersey, Newport, Long Island.
And then I imagine you're traveling for weddings too.
Always. Yeah, we're getting more and more destination. We have some fun ones coming up. Actually, a couple days from now, I'm leaving for Costa Rica for a wedding, which I'm so excited for. Like so excited. But we have a bunch of fun ones. We went to Italy for a few. We're going to France. We have one that's booked in Ireland. We're going to Mexico like 3 times.
What percentage of the wedding are you doing versus your team? I mean, obviously there's way too many events for you to do. Of course. Oh, but how many are you personally doing?
I'll say I do too many, I think, personally. And people have told me, they're like, you need to stop. Like, you do too much. But I love what I do. So I take on a lot. Like, if I have a date available and it's coming up and someone wants someone and my team is available, I'm like, okay, I'll go. Whatever. Fine. Like, you had to pull my arm. But I love going. Last year, not just weddings, but like bridal showers, styled shoots, like vendor content, meetings, venue, stuff like that. I think I went out about like 100 times, like personally. Just again, not paid, just to do some fun stuff and work with people, or New York Fashion Week, going out with brands and stuff, like all fun things. But I was out consistently. So I feel like, I do take on, as a business owner, like you take on the most amount of work because it's your business and you're so proud of it, and it's you love what you do. So like, I find it not like as much work related.
Because you love it. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly.
Until your feet really hurt.
Yeah. Oh, 100. That's why I get Hokas. I'm like, I can't.
What are Hokas?
Oh my gosh, they're the best, most comfortable sneakers. I invested in them. They're like my favorite new thing ever.
They're just so cozy.
So nice. They're like, I think the only.
Are they cute?
They're. That's the one thing they haven't worked on yet. I will say they're not really cute. But they're like so comfortable. They're like the only podiatrist recommended shoe or something like that. So I tried it when I was walking around in Italy for like a vacation, like 30,000 steps. Like, I don't know if you've ever been, but like, you're walking on those cobblestone streets, and they were the only thing that like wouldn't, like my feet didn't hurt at the end of the day.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to check them out.
Yeah, you gotta double check. I'm like, a lot of
especially
plugs.
when we're producing events. So Loverly does probably like 8 to 10 events a year, influencer all around the country.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to do events with our vendor partners. But like before the event starts, and look, I'm not even the one doing the setup. I have incredible team members, Kayla and Shay. I call them Shayla, like as that. One, because they're like amazing. They're doing a lot of like the pre-setup. I'm there to help, but like even before the event starts, my feet hurt and I'm not even wearing heels yet. And I'm like, how are we going to do then like a 7-hour, it's like a 12-hour day when you're at an event, and it really beats up your feet. And you feel it for the next day. So if these Hokas, what are they called?
Hokas.
Okay. If these Hokas I'm going to give them a try.
I literally go and I'm on site, and like, then again, I am a little bit like, I'm running around consistently, especially with content creators. Like they all know we're running. It's like honestly, planners do too. It's us and planners that we're like sprinting places. So I'm running, and I'm
the running is real. Like I actually have to throw this away. Get just because you don't have that much time. You gotta move quick.
100%. Something's happening. You gotta go. Like I'm running through venues sometimes. I'm like, they think I'm crazy. But honestly, I wear the Hokas for my 12-hour day, my 10-hour day, like in a row. And my feet, like they're going to hurt a little bit, but like, oh my God, night and day from any other shoe that I had. And that's the biggest investment. It's like investing yourself sometimes too. Like I needed that, like even loop earplugs. Like I needed earplugs because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go deaf by the time I'm like 30.
From what? From the events?
From the events, just from the reception. Cause I'm in there taking content like up against the speakers. Like one time my eardrum almost burst because like they just like blew like the bass or something. I don't know what they did.
So that's in your day of kit
yes. That's true. Going back to day of kit, the loop ear plugs, those are huge. Like I honestly also bring like little mini things of perfume because I'm like, after like 10 hours, I'm like, I need to keep it fresh. Keep it fresh. Literally, I'm like, oh my God. And just, I think that's really, light. I said lights. I think
lights, batteries, backup phones.
Yes. Lens cloths, stuff like that to like wipe off anything. But yeah, it's more about like, for me personally, it's the loop earplugs, the like breath mints, like perfume and stuff like that. So I'm just not a hot mess at the end of the night after a 10-hour shift. So
you mentioned that a lot of like, there's a shift moving away from these like super trendy, like produced trend reels and TikToks. Like why do you like, when did you see that shift happening? And is there like a new trend that's emerging of like a different type of clip that people are wanting?
I think it was happening kind of give or take at the middle of this year, like, or last year, 2024. I really think because it started out with a bang with content creation. And there are people that still want the trendy TikTok choreographed stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. But for me, it's more about, instead of the produce content and the overly like posed or choreographed, it is so much more about the candid. Like that is what
the authentic moments.
Exactly. I feel like we get a lot of the time, even in our day-to-day life, like I studied communications and all we heard was like, you're getting sold everything. Like everything that you're doing is you're getting sold consistently. And on social media, like we started out with social media being everyone just posting the best version of themselves, and still to this point a little bit. But I think you could see a lot more with TikTok. What resonates with people is Alex Earl having a huge messy room and like being like a hot mess. And like, even with the like Instagram now, advertisements and like influencer ads aren't
the
them
top
selling it to
performing
you.
content is when people are like putting on makeup, telling stories.
Exactly.
And I get sucked into it, even though I'm like so annoyed. I'm like, what? I'm like, why am I? But there's like psychology behind it, where it's like this kind of like authentic.
Yep.
It sucks you in. You like need to see it completed.
Yes, it's not, and you're also like just feel like you're not getting sold. You feel like you're just one-on-one chatting with a friend, and sometimes like that's what gets lost. And a lot of vendors do that wrong, I feel, where they're trying to sell you something. You shouldn't be trying to sell anyone anything. You should be saying, this is the experience you have going with me, or what you get from my services and what you get even from me. I don't post with, I want to sell or my brides. Like I'm so grateful that people trust me and want to work with me, but I don't think everyone's my client. And nor am I everyone's content creator. But like the people who resonate with me and love the work and see themselves in my work, that's great. Then I think that we'd be a good fit. But I'm not ever like posting or doing something to try to sell anyone. And like that's what content creation is. I'm not giving them a superposed, like perfect version of their day. Because in all honesty, a wedding, no day is perfect. No day is going to be absolutely perfect. I want to see like laughing and having like a funny, or a funny crying face with your friends in the morning. Like even if it looks a little stupid, like people love that because it's them. It's your day. Like you're supposed to be having a good time, being yourself, having like those intimate moments and those like just fun, authentic stuff that a lot of the time they don't get anymore. So that's why we come in.
I definitely agree with you when it comes to vendor content as well. I think vendors, one, they're so busy, right? They're running a business. If they're a florist, they're doing the bookings, they're creating the florals, they're making sure deliveries are done. Like there's so much that goes into it that when it comes to marketing their business, I think it used to be about putting your portfolio forward and using Instagram or TikTok as a portfolio.
Yeah.
Right. And now I think couples are looking more for almost like an inside glimpse into your creative process.
Yeah.
Right. Like not necessarily just the finished product, but you assembling the product, people seeing things come to life. And that's more of that messy, raw, authentic content. And I don't think enough wedding professionals feel comfortable putting that more raw content out there.
Yeah.
And I think that blocks them from, connecting with potential customers.
Yeah.
I actually had Josh from Birch events, and they do insane, over the top, the most.
They're awesome.
I mean,
I've worked with Birch before. They're sick. Yes,
they're so
always.
sick, right? But what he said is that they like have a new philosophy where it's like they're always creating content, and it's one take, and it's like you just go, you just film, you just get it, and then we cut it and we share it. We don't think about it, and you just see the amount of content they're putting out, and it's following, the development of these insanely gorgeous events that they're producing. And it's kind of addicting to watch. It's that same thing as watching someone putting makeup on. It's like you got to see it come together and you want to see the finished product. And I just think it's really an effective strategy for wedding professionals who are looking to tell their story and connect with couples. Put it out there.
100%. And I feel like even that, there's so much to be said about having content that resonates with you as a person. Because ultimately, even on our phone calls, if you're vibing with a client versus when you're not, odds are if you're not vibing with someone, they're not booking you.
Yeah.
And I think you need to show your personality and attract the clients that you want and attract the clients that are going to be so excited to work with you and vice versa, because you guys share commonalities, you share common personality. Like there's just so many things that I feel that I resonate with my brides, or with my couples, I should say, because I'm posting things and I'm like, and again, my content by nature is candid. And sometimes it's aesthetic. Don't get me wrong. We love posting aesthetic content and stuff like that. But a lot of it is, can you see yourself doing this? Can you see yourself liking this if you got this from us? Like we have a little bit of an easier time posting content, obviously.
Because it's not you, because you're not attached to it.
Exactly. And I say, I have that struggle too. Like in all honesty, I don't like putting myself out there. Like
I put zero. I only do my Instagram stories. Nothing in my in feed. It's just my podcast. It's actually bad.
Yeah. No, I know. Me too. Everyone's like, you really should see more of your face. I'm like, I think my work speaks for myself. Yeah. Like I have to say, like, even because I'm like, one, I don't want to, but two, I really think that like sometimes it is good. But you have to show the behind the scenes process. Yeah. Like I love showing people when we're going to somewhere fun, like what we're doing, or if there's like a fun moment between the media team, like people should know that we're having a good time and I think that's what stories are for too, to be honest. Like I love stories for personality stuff.
Yeah.
But even with that content, even with Bridal, like they hit the nail on the head. Posting it, because it's better to post something
than to not.
100%. The consistency is key. And people can't do that. And I get it's a full-time job.
You can't consistently post the velocity of content that you need in an edited format.
100%.
Like there's no way you'll be able to keep up with what needs to be, right? If you're running a business and if you're doing other things.
Yeah. Even with one of my most viral videos was a 5-second clip. And I just saw like this such raw emotion of this groom looking at his bride. And I love both of them. Their names are Sam and Sarah, Sarah Jane. And they are the most amazing couple. And he was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not a crier. I don't do emotions. I'm not like that. And I was like, I think you're going to get emotional during this first look. Like everyone does. You could say that. And after the first look, surprisingly, he just was like looking at her with such admiration and love and like just emotion. When I captured that, like I felt it in my core. I was like, oh my gosh, this was just like how every single girl wants to be looked at. Like, how every single person wants to be looked at. And I was editing things and making sure they were perfect before that. And then I just was like, I'm posting this 5 seconds unedited, throwing it up. It got millions and millions and millions of views. People reposted it. It got millions and millions and millions of views. Like it's at, I think 12 million on my page. It's at like 20 million on someone else's page. Like they all just took it and reposted it. But I was happy. Like even they still write to me. They're like, we still get notifications. People like looking at our video. They're like, oh my God, I see it again. Like they reposted again. And it's the easiest thing. It was that one moment. Again, like I just posted one of a bride and groom dancing together and they were having the best time, like Mike and Sam. And they were just in it. Like they're a crowd of people, but they're the only two in the room that were like looking at each other and just they had the best time. And it got 1 million views. And it was a 10-second clip of just one of the millions that I took. And I was like, I could have posted their complete crazy edited video that I did that is awesome. But like, I don't think it would have had that same emotional impact or that same like, or people resonating with it the same as this 10-second clip that I didn't even edit.
You mentioned something about other pages taking your social content and resharing it. So Loverly, we share a bunch of people's work all the time. We tag. We're really good at tagging.
You ask.
And we ask.
I love that. I always get messages.
We ask and then tag.
Yep.
But other people don't, and they do it.
Oh my gosh.
Just tell me basic etiquette. Like how triggered do you get when a big page posts your stuff?
I get so annoyed.
Do they always tag or do they steal? Like what's the...
I think they mostly consistently always steal. A lot of them tag, which I'm fine with. Yeah. I don't mind. Obviously, who cares? If it gets more engagement, not that we usually see a lot of it come back to us in all honesty. Like if a big page posts us, we don't usually get a lot of followers from it, surprisingly. But regardless, who cares? We posted it did well, it's fine. But and I've had so many people take and not tag, that's when I draw the line. It's like, there's one thing to take and not ask, which Loverly does it right. I love when they write me because I literally know exactly, I get those messages like, hey girly. And I'm like, yay. Like, oh my gosh, of course you could use it. But they ask me, they're so nice about it. And then they tag. That's the best etiquette way of getting content. I've had so many either small vendors, surprisingly, or vendors I've worked with at weddings that know us, that take our content and like know that they get it from us and then don't tag us. And I was like,
that's weird.
Yeah. And they like love working with us, like love this content.
But oftentimes it's probably not them. It's like intern or marketing person, which that used to be the case with us with Loverly. Like we got into trouble a few times because I'd had people sourcing content and they wouldn't always ask. And we actually had a page that had over 130,000 followers, a secondary an engagement page. And we posted a proposal with permission, but people were bullying in the comments. Oh. And so the person who was in the video
was like, take it down.
No, they didn't even say anything to us. They just basically flagged it as copyright and Instagram deleted the account.
No.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And we had permission. So that was a bummer.
That was a bummer. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's not right.
But it's only because I think Instagram is now like very, very much siding on the copyright owner, which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And they're there but I think it's because there is widespread stealing of content, not tagging, but like just again, PSA to vendors. If you have someone running your social, make sure they DM and ask for credit. Like, it's just a nice thing to do.
It's so nice. I think even just, and to each their own, but I'm okay with, I think maybe I'm jaded at this point from how many people took it and didn't tag me, but I'm okay with just taking it and tagging me. Like, if you give me credit, I'm okay. I also always ask, like, give credits to all the vendors. Like, I always do that.
Sometimes it's hard, though, if it's not done in the original post.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
That's
hard
fair.
to, like,
that's
find
fair.
it. Like, and that's the other thing. Just tag the vendors, because then it's harder to people, because people get mad. Like, you didn't tag us. And it's like, we had no idea that you were involved in this.
Exactly.
The tag was nowhere to be found. Nope. The planner never told, whatever it was,
As
right?
a vendor, always, everyone should tag everyone. I think it's
also good for community. Yeah. It's good for
course.
help you get discovered, for sure.
100%. And I just think we all worked on that day. It couldn't have come together without each and every one of us playing our part. Like, that's why I tag everyone. Even the people that you don't see in the video. Like, I'm posting a reception video and then the officiant's tags. Like, he's played a part too. But I think if you repost it and take it and it has a full tag sheet, use the full tag sheet. It's a copy and paste. Like, it's just so nice to recognize the other vendors involved. Like, and even me, like, I got so much hate from vendors because people would steal my content and not ask me, and then maybe either not tag me or only tag me. And then they're like, what? Like, you're posting our florals and not tagging us? I'm like, I have no bearing.
Control.
Yeah. So, like, it's that too. So I would say if you're going to take content, like, it's just so nice to credit the people who worked on it. I think that that's a fair ask, even if you don't ask, which also would be nicer than not asking. But yeah.
There's surprisingly a lot of egos in the wedding industry.
I think it's unacceptable. Like, this day isn't about you.
No, but it's really interesting how there are so many. And it's funny because it's one of those things where vendors and people in the community, like, we know who to, like, avoid.
Yes.
And because we're, like, scared of them.
Yeah.
And I say that because I've been, like, yelled at too. But at events, people say things like and I'm like, Loverly's, we're not planners. Like, we're not planners, but we have planning tools that people use, right? Exactly. We promote vendors and photographers and planners and all this stuff. But, like, we've gotten, like, at events, people have said stuff, more like industry events. And then also, like, in the DMs, people get nasty. And in the comments, too.
Like, why? Like,
it's wild.
Just stay in your lane. If you're that concerned, like, stay in your lane. And I've even been to so many weddings where, like, the egos have just, like,
it's just weird.
It just takes up a toll.
I guess in any industry, but, like, I think maybe it stands out more in the wedding industry because so many of the people that work in this industry do it because they love it.
Yes,
because they love the creative process. And so it's like oil and water. Like, those ones stand out and, like, people know about it and they avoid them.
I was going to say, or it's because we all know, and the people that do know, this is not about us. This day isn't about us. It's not about our work. It is the best day of someone's life. And we're so blessed and honored to even play a part of it.
Yeah,
so, like, we're going in with such gratitude and, like, we want to make sure we're doing the best job. And it's about, like, it is their day. And then, like, when we see a vendor come in and they're like, it's my day. I'm like, who are you to say it's your day? Like, it's not your day. Sit down. Like, this is about the couple and it's their day and we're here to support them. And again, I think that goes to, like, videographers and photographers. Sometimes if they don't work as a team with content creators, it's like, is this day about you or is this about the couple? Like,
and what they want.
Exactly. Like, I'm here to do what's best for the couple, and I will never take away any kind of jobs or experience or whatever, or shots, or make the day about me. Never. And I know that's what all the comments say. Like, who's going to, like, they're going to be an extra thing. They're going to jump in all the shots. They're so unprofessional, whatever. There's unprofessional people in every regard. I've even been with photographers when there's been a really unprofessional videographer, or an unprofessional photographer with a professional videographer, and me and the videographer stick together because we're like,
what's happening?
Yeah, exactly. Or, like, me and the photographer, like, this videographer, like, is jumping in all these shots, and, like, he's going to, I've had a photographer have to pull a videographer back from the front because he's planted himself right in front of the bride and groom, to the point where their parents couldn't see them get married. And it's like, I know I would never in a million years do that, but, like, there's unprofessional people in every single aspect. And it's just like, when you are trying to bar a couple from getting what they want and having what they want at their wedding, like, you're not working as a team. And I think that says a lot to a couple. And that's honestly why a lot of the videographers, and I have a few in Jersey and New York City, and I can name a few. I won't, but, like, I don't want to get that much hate mail from them, but they don't work with outside content creators. And they don't like me, and they've said repetitively, like, you're stealing business, you're stealing like bread from our out of our children's mouths. And I was like, how do you say that to someone? Like, I avidly will say, go with a videographer. And that's why it's like, I love what I do and I think there's a lot of value in it. But when it gets undervalued by other people, I think it's when a couple comes to you and you have that knee-jerk reaction about another vendor that isn't in competition, they're not going to want to hire you. And it's not because they're hiring me, it's because they realize that it's kind of a selfish response. Yeah, it's always about the couple, and I feel like always that should be the cornerstone to every single.
And if you're a couple who's interviewing vendors, if you get a little spidey sense that it's a tinge, if there's a little bit of ego, just know that, like, don't ignore that, because there's a good chance that as the planning process goes on, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
And, you know, you got to trust your instincts.
Yeah. And even for me talking with my couples, I say, like, never, like, always trust your gut. Always listen to your gut when it comes to vendors. And also, if there's problems when you first talk with them, even with like ego or just with work or things that are throwing you off, it's always going to come to light as it gets closer. Like, it always listen to your instincts. It's so important. You want to be surrounded by people that make you feel so special and that are there for you and uplift you, and like that you're like, wow, this day, like my vendors are like my best friends right now, because we're with them more than their family sometimes. For the majority of the day, it's photographer, videographer, content creator, planner. Like, we're all with them all day. It's like, if you don't like your vendors and you don't like who they are as people, like, you really want that surrounding yourself like for 10 hours on your wedding day more than sometimes your friends and family? Like,
that's a no.
Yeah, exactly. I think so too. But yeah, that's kind of what I always tell my couples, and I hope that people live by that, because I think it's really important for the day. And I've seen it go both ways, where people hire vendors they love and that love them, and the day goes by amazing. And then other times it's unfortunate, but the egos get in the way and the bride feels like the day wasn't about her, or like the couple feels like it wasn't about them. And like, that's so insanely sad to hear. Like, that should never, ever have to come up or be a concern.
This has been the Loverly Wedding Podcast. We are hosted by Kelly Khalil, produced by Natasha Barkman, Kayla Fitzgerald, and Jennifer Alvarado. Watch the podcast on YouTube by subscribing to our channel, and you can follow and listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, and every major RSS feed.